Study reveals that 1 in 10 Bay Area neighborhoods are racially segregated, with San Mateo County being the most divided.
This is Shoreview, a quaint, quiet area located within the San Mateo County. San Mateo resides on the peninsula side of the Bay Area, a region known for its booming tech industry, and it was the place that I had called home for 18 years. I lived in the East Bay, home to cities like Oakland and Hayward. Separated by a bridge, the East Bay and the peninsula couldn't have been more different in culture. San Mateo County was a large area that covered different cities, and as a city itself, San Mateo was home to families with both extreme wealth and more modest homes, like this one. The downtown area of San Mateo has varying cuisines, from Chinese to Thai to Mexican, Peruvian, Korean, and others. But there wasn't really any food that represented Polynesian culture. But there was an L&L on the corner of East 3rd Avenue. When I was really young, I hadn't really noticed the lack of Polynesian representation in San Mateo, mainly because the area celebrated diversity so loudly. But as I reminisced, I realized there were no real restaurants for Polynesian food, and yet events such as this were thrown every year.
San Mateo County Aloha Fest gives you that kind of sort of Hawaiian vibes feeling.
San Mateo's Aloha Festival was a massive crowd pleaser. Hosted at the local community center, the Bay Area would gather the hula halaus and local cookie and snack vendors for Hawaiian and Polynesian-styled foods and treats. My local Outrigger Canoe Club would sell plate lunches at this festival every year to help raise money for our club, and when I had time, I would wander through the center and look at all the different booths. San Mateo's Aloha Festival always kind of reminded me of the fire-breathing, grass-skirt dancing luau's hosted at fancy resorts in Honolulu, a fetishized version of Hawaiian culture that was meant to represent Polynesian culture as a whole. And even with this celebrated ideology of Hawaiian culture, the actual Hawaiian population was extremely small. Within the Polynesian community, Tongans dominated this demographic within the Bay. But there was nothing for them here. They were not represented in any way in this event. Although we had Tahitian dances and hulas, local music, rock salt plum, and lihing candies, there was no otai or kuluan meat that is more traditional for Polynesians cross-culturally, though often called by different names. The Tongan community within the Bay Area does not receive the representation they need, especially considering that they are deep in poverty, especially compared to the county's mean income. In San Mateo County's health page, it was reported that the Pacific Islander community does not willingly seek help from available resources because of the lack of culturally sensitive services and oftentimes inaccurate information about available resources. The Pacific Islander population within the Bay Area has alarmingly high suicide rates, especially in comparison to that of white suicides. When comparing the number and population for both ethnic groups, the contrast in ratio is extremely concerning. The Bay Area loves to celebrate Polynesian culture, or at least their idea of what Polynesian culture looks like. However, this glorified version of the culture not only diminishes the actual complexities that exist within different cultures, but it hides the fact that the Polynesian community in San Mateo are suffering. They're invisible because the majority ethnic groups think that they are being given representation. When I was a freshman in high school, a football player from one of our rival schools jumped off of the San Mateo Bridge. The school held their moment of silence. The football team suffered the loss of one of their players, and his friends and family grieved for weeks. But this event was never reported on. It changed the people within the Polynesian community, and what had a bigger impact was the lack of reporting on his death. There was no coverage, no backstory, there was nothing for him. And yet, we still see profits being made from grass skirts and puka shells. So despite the diversity San Mateo likes to pride itself on, the people being celebrated during the Aloha Festival are actually being left behind. There's something to be said about the harm these kind of events can bring when they portray a false narrative of what is actually happening. So while the San Mateo and the Bay Area as a whole can pretend to be diverse and accept other cultures with open arms, These neighborhoods are segregated, and minorities are forgotten. True diversity comes from exposure and an eagerness to learn. Until the Polynesian community, specifically the Tongan community within San Mateo, are given a voice, this annual Aloha Festival will continue to be nothing more than a way to erase the cultures lying along the outskirts of San Mateo.